A little girl's call changed everything. Daddy, it hurts. The millionaire fell to his knees. The city's richest man, Edward Sterling, was in the middle of closing the biggest business deal of his life when his phone buzzed. He almost ignored it until he saw the name on the screen, Lily. His 7-year-old daughter never called during work hours. He smiled faintly and answered, expecting her cheerful voice. But what he heard made the blood drain from his face. Daddy, it hurts, she whispered, her voice trembling. In that moment, the billionaire who controlled empires, who never bowed to anyone, fell to his knees. His world stopped spinning. What could have happened to her? Within seconds, Edward dropped everything, the deal, the power, the pride, and ran out of his glass tower like a man possessed. That one phone call was about to change his life forever. Edward Sterling was known as the man who could turn anything into gold, except love. His life was built around meetings, profits, and success. He lived in a mansion filled with art and silence. After his wife passed away in an accident 3 years ago, Edward buried himself in work, leaving his little girl, Lily, in the care of nannies and private tutors. Lily adored her father, but she barely saw him. Every night she would wait near the staircase, hoping he'd come home early. But he always came too late. Her drawings of the two of them, holding hands, lay forgotten in his study. One evening, Edward's assistant reminded him about Lily's school recital. Sir, it starts in an hour. I don't have time for that, he muttered, adjusting his tie. Send flowers instead. He didn't realize those words would haunt him soon. Because that same night, Lily had a terrible fall while rehearsing her lines alone. Her nanny called an ambulance. Lily was rushed to the hospital, but Edward wasn't there. He was giving a speech about family values in business. The irony was cruel. That's when his phone rang. Daddy, it hurts. The moment he heard her voice, everything inside him shattered. His assistant watched in shock as Edward's face turned pale. Without saying a word, he left the conference room and ran to his car. For the first time, he didn't care about investors or cameras, only his little girl. Edward's car sped through the city streets like a bullet. He didn't care about red lights or honking horns. His hands shook on the steering wheel as his mind replayed every missed birthday, every ignored bedtime story. Tears blurred his vision, something no one had ever seen from him before. When he arrived at the hospital, he saw Lily lying in a small bed, her leg wrapped in bandages, a bruise on her forehead. A tiny oxygen mask covered her mouth. Daddy? She whispered weakly. He fell to his knees beside her bed. I'm here, sweetheart. I'm so sorry. The doctor explained she'd be okay, but her injuries were a result of neglect. She'd been unsupervised, practicing alone for hours just to make him proud. Edward felt like a monster. His empire suddenly meant nothing. He canceled every meeting, fired every assistant, and stayed by her side day and night. He read her stories, brushed her hair, and sang lullabies, things he hadn't done since her mother died. Lily's tiny smile began to return, and so did Edward's heart. But then, one evening, the doctor walked in with a serious expression. Mr. Sterling, there's something else. We ran some scans, there's internal bleeding. We need surgery immediately. The room spun around him. Edward gripped his daughter's hand and whispered, You'll be okay, my princess. Daddy's right here. As the surgery began, Edward waited outside the operating room, praying for the first time in years. He remembered his wife's last words, promise me you'll never let work take her from you. He'd broken that promise. Until now, hours passed. Each minute felt like a lifetime. Finally, the doors opened and the surgeon approached. She's stable. It was close, but she's going to be fine. Edward broke down in tears of relief. When Lily woke up, she found him sleeping on the chair beside her, holding her tiny hand. Daddy. She smiled weakly. You stayed. He kissed her forehead. I'll always stay. From that day forward, Edward changed everything. He sold one of his companies and started a foundation for children with absent parents. Called Lily's Light, he spoke publicly, not about success, but about second chances. In every interview, he said, the most powerful thing I ever owned was my daughter's forgiveness. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to be reminded. No amount of money can replace time spent with the ones you love. Sometimes, all it takes is one call to change everything.